Guys, so we have some more 3x speed summons for LF, Rose, Goku Black, and Trunks and Mai. At this point, I have already recorded some more showcases for Rose that will be going up over the course of the next few days here, so stay tuned for those. And I just sort of want to talk about my thoughts on not just Rose himself, but also the strategy that the developers are using to sort of, I guess, level off the power of these units that are coming out, as well as some Zenkais that we've seen recently. So I think we're going to start off by talking about Rose. This is not going to be my full interpretation of what he's going to be doing, because I sort of leave that to the showcases to speak for themselves. But I think there's a pretty clear path that they're taking with how they want to, quote-unquote, balance the game, because honestly, it's not really that balanced, never will be. But in terms of like the top tier units and the top teams that you always run into in PvP, Sun Family, Androids, Region, all that stuff, to me it feels like they're more so shying away from the Zenkai dominance that has been shown throughout the past few months. Pretty much ever since the second anniversary, we've seen these Zenkai units come out and just like demolish everything that we've known in the game for a long time. Like for instance, Future during the second anniversary was easily the most prominent team that you saw, and did not have that many Zenkais on there, right? I don't even think there was a single Zenkai unit that you ran on that Future team back then. It was Rage Trunks, Merge Zamasu, Vegito Blue, and then you just had a bunch of other units supporting, and then when Purple Vegeta came out, he sort of rounded out the team, and you would use that, and that would just be your whole team. But now, we're taking a look at teams like Sun Family. You're running triple Zenkai LFs. You're taking a look at Super Saiyans. You're running Bardock, you're running Red Super Gogeta, you're running Zenkai Namek Goku. So, like, all these teams are dominated by Zenkai units. Androids, Android 18, Android 16, Zenkai Android 21, even Regen, Zenkai Green Buu, Zenkai Yellow Demon King Piccolo. So all these teams, the common theme between them all are just these Zenkai units being completely dominant. And even Future now has started to get some, like the Blue Trunks is absolutely ridiculous. So, taking a look at a lot of the teams that really don't have these Zenkais accessible to them. There's not a lot of LOE Zenkais. You have the blue cooler, and then we got the yellow Frieza, and then we got the red metal cooler, who aren't really at that same power level as someone like LF Super Saiyan 3 Goku, or even going all the way back to the Green Buu. Blue Super Saiyan Blue Goku, I would say, is a lot better than those two. They're just not at that level, right? Where a team like LOE really needed the help, and yet, a team like Future, who didn't really need the help as much as LOE, got a much better Zenkai in Blue Trunks. So there's a little bit of a disconnect there, I think, between them knowing what teams need the help and who doesn't. But I think them explicitly giving the yellow Frieza and the red metal cooler not as powerful of Zenkais as someone like Future and other teams that didn't really need it as much, I think is indicative of them coming to the conclusion that they don't need to be pumping out these Zenkais to be overly dominant, because it overshadows sort of how people perceive new units like this Rose Goku Black. And even non-LFs as well, like just new Sparkings, like Android 21 or Trunks and Mai, who just came out. Like, they're viewed not as powerful as well. And the prime example of a unit like that just came out too was that yellow Broly, right? I mean, that yellow Broly, I only used them like a couple times, but not that impressive. Especially when you compare him to somebody like any yellow Zenkai, pretty much. It's just going to completely outclass him. Like, even on powerful opponent, right? His main function on that team is meant to be a bench unit, and you're just never really going to bring him into the fight because he doesn't match up when you compare him to other yellow powerful opponent units. Like, the first one that comes to mind for me is the yellow Demon King Piccolo. He's not buffing the tag, but at the very least, he is, he's just a much better unit to use on that team. Or else, I mean, you could even talk about somebody like Yellow Turles being comparable in power level to the Yellow Broly. I think Broly's probably better. Or even Hit. Hit is going to be on there as well. I don't think Hit's better than... Actually, is Hit better than Broly? He might be. It's close, which is crazy to think about. But anyway, I'm going off topic. That's sort of the Zenkai landscape of the game right now. And when you compare that to something like LFs, right? So I think if you look at the recent LFs that have come out, and by recent LFs, I'm talking about UI Goku onward, right? So we had UI Goku, then we had Gogeta and Broly, then we had Future Gohan, then we had, I think it was Kid Buu after that, and now we have Rose. Unless I'm forgetting one, which I don't think I am, but correct me if I'm wrong. But anyway, so Rosé's out now, and I think they've done a pretty good job in specifically tailoring these new LFs to being much more powerful than older LFs, like Majin Vegeta, right? Let's just take Majin Vegeta for an example. Majin Vegeta is not bad by any means at all. But Majin Vegeta does not stack up, I would argue, to any of these LFs that have come out in the past 3 months. So I think there's been 6. Yeah, there's 6. Gogeta, Broly, Rosé, Kid Buu, Future Gohan, and UI Goku. I would say all of those guys are probably better than Majin Vegeta, with potentially the exception of Rosé. To me, Rosé definitely feels like they could have made him a little bit more powerful. I get that, a lot of his kit depends on the bleeds. And I get that a lot of his kit depends on the combo that you can do with the green card into the blue card, and the blue card being neutral against yellow units. But to me, it's like this unit that is gonna, realistically only appear once or twice in most players' summons, if maybe even not 0 times, right? A lot of people aren't gonna pull him just because his rates are ridiculous. For a unit that you're only gonna realistically have at 2 to 3 stars, or in some cases 4 stars, and then in very rare cases higher than that, they should feel more powerful than a lot of these Zenkais that are coming out with, Purple Broly, for example. This is going to be probably the most controversial thing I say in a long time, but I actually think Purple Broly is really, really good. I think he's probably him. You know what's funny? Him and Gogeta Blue, I think, are the 2 most underrated units in the game at this point, especially for the Western community. I've seen a lot of Japanese players talking about these units specifically, and a lot of them also underrate Broly and Gogeta Blue, but I feel like amongst the top players over in Japan, they all really understand how powerful those units are. I saw somebody running a team with Broly on it, and they didn't even run Bardock with him, and he was like destroying everyone. When I say destroying everyone, I don't mean he's coming in one-shotting units, but he's bringing a lot to the table in the forms of defense, blast armor, utility, healing on his main. Like, he does a lot. He does a lot more than you would think. But anyway, my overall thoughts about the current landscape of the game and where it's headed in the future is taking a look at the trend that we've seen with, Broly, Kid Buu, and UI Goku, and Future Gohan to an extent as well, and then Gogeta, is that they're trying to make LFs way more powerful than they used to, and they're trying to make Zenkais way less powerful than they used to. And I think that's pretty evident by the fact that they're pumping out units like Yellow Final Form Frieza and Red Metal Cooler, who really did not do much for their teams. Purple Broly, people can say that he doesn't really do much for his teams, but I would disagree. I think the reason why they even Zenkai'd him right now is just to get him out of the way, right? You're eventually going to have to go back and Zenkai him at some point, and doing it now and giving him minimal buffs, I think gives you the most wiggle room to sort of just make him not as broken as he could have been otherwise. But again, I think what we're going to see moving forward, once we head into April here, which I imagine we'll see another LF before the anniversary, maybe 1 or 2, we'll see. April will probably have an LF, May might or might not, and then the anniversary is going to have either 1 or 2. I think because of the fact that they've experimented with doing 2 twice at this point, the anniversaries, there's a good chance that there might be 2 LFs, even though last year we only had 1. But I think we're going to start seeing these units, these LFs in particular, be extremely powerful, and more so, way more powerful than Zenkais are going to be. So, for example, Zenkai Super 17 was announced. I think Zenkai Super 17 is a unit that, once we were in that meta of like every Zenkai being completely broken, we would be really, really scared of Zenkai Super 17. He has the chance to feint the whole enemy team, paralyze the whole enemy team, right? So with that knowledge in mind, I would be terrified of him if this was in the Zenkai quote-unquote era of Legends. But again, I think they're going to be more conscious of that moving forward, and they're going to try and make more of an effort to have these LFs, and not even just LFs, but maybe just new Sparkings as well, be more appealing for people to summon on, rather than just, everyone's saving for Zenkais and stuff of that nature. So don't be surprised if we get to the anniversary and they've released a few Zenkais that aren't that impactful on the game, whereas a lot of the newer banner units or newer LFs have come out and they're all like the best units in the game. So that's pretty much where I think the game is headed. You guys can let me know down below what you guys think about that, but other than that, hope you guys enjoy the rest of the summons, and I will see you all in the next one.